You know, one thing that I'm always very, very passionate about is hard work and pushing other people and just making someone around you better. Because I know that will uplift the whole organization, the whole team. It'll bring us all to where we want to be. Okay? And so one thing I always talk about is, okay, not if you beat me, right? Like, because I used to run against this kid named Charlie Decker in college, and Charlie was faster than me, and Charlie always beat me. I mean, always beat me, because he was a legitimate 6'5", 6'6" runner, and I wasn't. I mean, I was 6'8", 7 flat. Charlie always beat me. Okay, but here's the other thing about Charlie is Charlie ran a 6'5", no matter who he ran against. Charlie would run 6'5s when he ran by himself. Okay, Charlie ran a 6'5 when he ran against a 7'5 runner. He didn't run a 7 flat, and see, that's what sometimes people do, and that's what keeps us average. Is we say, okay, I got this race. I'm running against the guy who's running 7'5. I'm going to beat him. So we run a 7'3, and we just coast to the finish line, and we stay average. And we do that all the time, and we do it. How many of you out there have been in a game against a team that is nowhere near as gifted as you, nowhere near as talented as you, and you play down to that competition and you get beat? And the next week, you're playing a team who's ranked in the country, and you go out and you go hard and you pull one out against them, right? And you beat this team because you were ready, you were prepared, you were motivated. But it took that ranked team to motivate you. So what I'm saying is Charlie was a 6'5 runner all the time. He didn't need motivation. He was a 6'5 runner. He went hard as he could every single time. And that's what I'm saying out there, right? So you got to go as hard as you can all the time. You cannot be a 6'5 runner when you're running against a 6'6 and a 7 flat runner when you're running against a 7'5 if you want to be, truly want to be great, because that desire to be great isn't in you. You just want to do enough to get by. You want to do enough to win. That's why you're a 3.0 student instead of a 3.5 student. That's why you're a 3.5 instead of a 4. Because you can, because you're coasting, because classes aren't that hard. College isn't really that hard if you put the effort and the work behind it. But you're okay with being a 3.0 student. You're okay with running the 7 flat when that's enough to win. That's not what greatness is. That's not what greatness is. And see, what really bothers me is when teammates see guys like that, or girls like that, whoever it is out there, whatever sport you're playing, if you have a teammate that's like that, and you let that teammate be that way, that's on you. Okay? That's on you. And if you're a leader, then that's really on you. If you're the team captain, because what I'm talking about is this. I'm talking about we all go hard. We grind, we push, we go as hard as we can all the time, because that's what it takes. Again, we don't know what comes out the other side, right? But when we do that, you know what happens? This happens. 7 flat runners, straight 7 flat runners become 6'7 runners. 6'7s become 6'6s. Squatting 315 turns into 350 because we're pushing each other. We're bringing someone with us. We're grinding. We're going hard. We're just working as hard as we can. We're not living up to our competition. We're living up to our self-expectations. And if you have high expectations of yourself, and if you have dreams of being great, that's all you need. That's all you need, because then you will push yourself and you will push others. And when we start doing that, and 3.5 students become 4.0 students, right? Because we're pushing each other, because we want to win, we want to compete. Now we're on the right path to greatness. And you're bringing someone with you makes the whole team better, because they'll bring someone with them, and they'll push, and they'll push. So what I'm saying is, you cannot be good enough. Okay? Okay? I'm going to say it again. You cannot be good enough. Because good enough doesn't exist. Good enough never is. And that's why Charlie ran a 6'5 every single time. Because he knew this. He understood this. He wasn't the most physically gifted baseball player in the world, but the dude could run. Right? And he could play a little bit. But he knew if he took a day off, he was going to be nothing. He was going to be nothing. So he didn't have that luxury. He didn't have that luxury. Now some of you think you have that luxury, but you don't either. I don't care if you're the best dude out there, if you're the starting shortstop, if you're the center, you know, the leading goal scorer on the soccer team, the hockey team, if you're the best person on your volleyball team, if you're the best, name something, okay? You're the best whatever. But sometimes you settle for good enough, then you're not ready for greatness and you're not prepared. If you're going to be the best, you have to be your best every single day. Okay? You have to be your best at all times. There's not a day off. Someone wants your spot. Someone wants to go hard all the time. And they will push you and they will take your spot even if they're not as talented as you. Or you can just go hard all the time, right? And never settle for good enough and push them, make them better, even though they might not get to you, which is what you want anyways, right? You want to be the starter, you want to win, but you want your team to be great, so bring that guy with you. Bring him with you. I can't say it enough. I had a whole video about this, but I can't say it enough. Good enough never is. And if you settle for good enough, greatness never will be an option. If you can be a 4.0 student, be a 4.0 student. All the time. If you can run a 6.5, run a 6.5 all the time. If you can do something one time, I'm a firm believer that you can do it all the time. But sometimes you don't want to. That's not an option. Okay? That is no longer an option if you want to be great. If you want to go to the top, if you want to be the best, that is no longer an option. Taking that day off, sometimes relaxing, settling for good enough is no longer an option anymore. It cannot be an option. Not if you want to be great. If you want to be average, then you're on the right track. You can take those days off. You can run 7 flats when you're running the 6.5. But that's not your best. You have to be your best at all times. You don't have the luxury. Because the problem is, here's the other problem about this. The person you're competing against, right? Like if you were like me and you had dreams of being in the big leagues, the guy standing next to me on my team wasn't my competition. You see, I knew that. That's why I always ran a 6.7, 6.8 when I could. I always ran as fast as I could. I never went to my competition because I knew the guy in California, the guy in Texas, the guy in Florida, Ohio, at the other school, that was my competition. The guys I would never, ever get to know. That's who I was competing against, and I knew that. So beating somebody right next to me wasn't enough. I had to beat someone I never seen. I had to beat somebody I never knew. I had to beat somebody I never talked to. And that's how you do it. So if you're sitting there, and I know guys are out there, Ohio State, Maryland, you know, Minnesota, Mankato, Central Michigan, Western Michigan. I hear you. I know you guys are out there listening because I've been getting feedback, right? Understand this. Understand this, please. The people that you're standing next to aren't the ones that you're competing against. It's the ones you'll never see. That's why good enough never is. Good enough never is. It never will be. It's never gonna be. If you want to be great, if you want to truly be great, you are your best at all times. You don't settle. And when let's say you're a 4.0 student and you get a 3.8, you're disappointed. So you get back in the lab. You work harder. You grind more. Because you know that wasn't your best. You're not satisfied. You're upset. You let yourself down. But that's okay. You got to live with that. You deal with that. Now you go harder and you push forward. You have to go hard at all times. Good enough never will be. Not if you want to be great. Not if you want to be great. Good enough never. The people who settle for good enough take that exit to average. They take that exit to a little above average. Okay? But they never make it to the top. Not settling for good enough. If you want to take that highway and you don't want to get off that exit until you have reached greatness, right, then good enough never will be. And then when you get to greatness, good enough still doesn't exist. It never exists. It never exists. Go hard all the time. You got this. But you have to push yourself beyond what you ever thought you could. I'm always going to say that. The internal desire to be great, the internal desire to be great won't let you settle for good enough. Come on, man. Be like Charlie. Be like Charlie. Run a 6.5 all the time. Run a 6.5 all the time if that's what's in you. Be a 4.0 student all the time if that's what's in you. Let's go. Come on. You got this. You got this. You got this. Push, push. And don't wait till tomorrow. Do it right now. Go now. If you can take the day off because it's New Year's Eve, because it's New Year's Eve, you take the day off. No, get to that gym. Find a place to run sprints. Run through the snow. I don't care. It's cold out here. It's 25 degrees right now, and I'm out here doing this because good enough never is. I could have done one video today and be done with it, but I didn't, because I know good enough never is. I see I'm not the only person trying to be a motivational speaker. So go. So go. So go get it. Go get it. You got this, man. You got this. You got this, right? Don't wait for that new year. You're not a new person in the new year. You're the same person. So if you're that person, be that person today. Be that person right now.